Welcome my dear listeners. Stay with me to get the spoilers first and subscribe to the channel. Let's find out what's going to happen on royal family. Meghan goes crazy at Montecito. Charles kicks out Frogmore and Anne shows off the Queen's red box. In stories about loyalty, the loudest explosions are often the ones that no one hears. They happen behind gates, across oceans, and in families that have learned how to smile while the tension rises. In this made-up palace drama, the pressure finally breaks in three places at once. Meghan is said to be furious in Montecito. King Charles makes things worse by cutting off the Sussexes from Frogmore, and Princess Anne reminds everyone of the Queen's red box, which was a symbol of duty that ruled Elizabeth II's life every day. The scene in Montecito is the first sign of trouble. The house is beautiful, the sun is shining, and the privacy is supposed to make you feel free. But in this made-up version of events, things are anything but calm. Meghan has gotten to the point where anger won't stop. It gets into everything. A phone call turns into a fight. A headline turns into an insult. A reminder of the royal past becomes too much to bear. When the news comes that Frogmore is gone, the last visible link between the Sussexes and their old royal life is cut off in a brutal way. That loss is important because Frogmore Cottage was more than just a house. It was the place. But the Sussex story seemed like it might finally settle down for good. They had thought it would be a base in Britain, a place to live that would keep them connected to the royal world even after they stepped back. But in 2023, Buckingham Palace confirmed that they had been asked to leave, which many people saw as another sign that the rift was getting worse instead of better. In this made-up story, Charles' choice does more than just take away a piece of property, it shuts the door. That's why Meghan's reaction is so strong. It's not just about losing a home, it's about losing a sign. Royal life is based on symbols that mean more than their materials would suggest. A castle can be a sign, a title can be a decision, a cottage can mean being part of something or being left out. Depending on who comes through the front gate, Frogmore had become one of those signs after it is taken away. Meghan has to deal with the feeling that the institution gave her the map has burned the breach back. It's easier to understand Charles' position than to forgive him. From the royal side, that monarchy has always preferred clarity to lingering ambiguity, especially when under pressure. It doesn't like arrangements where some people are in and some people are out. It doesn't like family members who publicly criticize while still depending on royal leftovers. It doesn't like the idea that the old system can be used as a safety net after the rules have been thrown out. In this story, Charles acts like a king defending the line instead of a father softening it. He picks order over feeling. That choice hits Montecito like a slap. In this made-up movie, Meghan is angry because other people's choices have put her in a tight spot. Every royal event seems to come with a secret accusation. If the family moves without her, she is being left out. They are controlling the story. If they talk about it in public, if they don't say anything, they are punishing her by staying away. The pattern is tiring, and losing Frogmore makes it feel even more personal because the house held memories, marriage, and the last bits of royal continuity all at once. Then Princess Anne comes in and the mood changes again. Anne doesn't have to yell to get her point across. Not very often, she speaks the language of duty as if she has been fluent in it since she was a child, which in a way she has. That's why the mention of the Queen's red box in this story feels so sharp. The red box was never pretty. It was a job. It was the daily work of the monarchy, where the Queen got papers from her private secretaries, documents about Parliament, Commonwealth and overseas issues, and state papers that needed her signature and royal assent. It is one of the most obvious signs that the late Queen's life was built around serving others. When Anne talks about the red box in this made-up story, she isn't just remembering, she is reminding everyone what it meant to be royal. The Queen did not enjoy the public sympathy. She lived in a routine that needed her to pay attention, be disciplined, and do things over and over. Every day the red box came with a duty. Anyone who thinks the monarchy should bend to personal emotions should listen to what Anne says. She suggests that the institution was built on endurance, not impulse. That's why the revelation hurts. It isn't just a memory of the queen. It is a rule, a side-by-side look, a quiet way to see who carried the weight and who left it behind. Everyone in the room where Anne speaks or where her words are repeated gets the difference every day. The queen opened her red box and went through everything inside. In this made-up story, Meghan feels like the institution has used the box of duty as a moral weapon against her. That comparison makes the reaction in Montecito even more unstable. People are angry at more than just Charles. It is also about the meaning. Frogmore is gone. The red box was opened. The old monarchy is once again acting like the keeper of order, while the Sussex world looks impulsive in comparison. This is a huge imbalance in a family where image is everything. One side looks like they are in control, the other is seen as emotional. One side is in line with duty, the other one has to explain itself. Of course, the real history of royalty is always more complicated than the gossip machine wants to let on. In 2023, reports of the Frogmore eviction didn't include any shouting. Instead, they were formal requests that made the family split even worse after Harry's memoir made things worse. That truth gives the made-up drama its emotional power. It changes a legal and institutional choice into a story about belonging, loss, and the royal space getting smaller. The red box is also real history, not just talk. People have been talking about the Queen's life for a long time. And it's always about papers. Papers and more papers. That's why Anne's reference to it is so powerful in the dramatic imagination, but the anger is the most interesting part of this story. The silence surrounding it. Charles doesn't need to fight with Meghan in front of other people. He can just do it, and doesn't need to give anyone a long speech. If she talks about the red box, the point will be clear. There is no need for a long explanation of Frogmore. Taking it away already explains a lot. The old royal way was to use as few words as possible to get the most out of them. People read a headline, the palace hears a line being drawn, and the people in the middle have to deal with the fact that royal life can still decide how the fight will go. That feels like too much in Montecito. In this made-up story, Meghan is angry not because she expected comfort, but because she can't ignore how little control she has over the royal story. It seems like every move Charles makes is a mistake. Every time Anne nods, it feels like history is scolding me. A box of papers from the Queen's time can remind us that duty is to come before feelings, and it might still do so now. That is the story's deeper meaning. It's not just about a memory, a comment, or a cottage. The monarchy has a bad habit of turning private pain into public structure. It's about how the crown protects itself by choosing hard lines instead of soft endings. It talks about how symbols stay around long after the people who made them have moved on. Frogmore is still a symbol because the split hasn't been fixed yet. The red box is still a symbol because the Queen's discipline is still the standard by which everyone else is judged. So the made-up drama ends with a familiar royal scene. Charles is calm and is not sentimental. Meghan is angry, and the old house of Windsor shows once again that the past is never really past. It lives in homes, titles, boxes, hallways, decisions about property, and the Queen's daily work. The more people try to forget about it, the more it seems to come back to them. And maybe that's the real twist in all of this. It's not the anger that defines the story, it's the control. Because while one side reacts, the other side simply decides. And the quiet difference says more about monarchy than any headline ever could. When Montecito feels loud and emotional and Frogmore Cottage becomes a closed chapter, you start to see how distance isn't just physical, it's deeply symbolic. And I will be honest, this doesn't feel like a temporary clash anymore. It feels like two completely different worlds that no longer speak the same language. On one side, there's feeling, reaction, and the need to be heard. On the other, there's structure, silence, and decisions that don't ask for permission. And when Princess Anne brings up something as simple as the Queen's red box, it lands like a quiet verdict. Because that box wasn't just paperwork, it was a standard, a daily reminder that duty doesn't pause for emotion. So here's what I keep coming back to. Was this really about a house, or was it about drawing a final line that can't be undone? And more importantly, can any relationship survive when one side speaks through feelings and the other speaks through tradition? Looking ahead, I have a feeling this gap won't close anytime soon. In fact, it may it may grow even wider with fewer shared moments and more carefully controlled appearances from the palace. Because once the crown starts tightening its circle, it rarely loosens it again. Moment everything truly changed for good, and if the silence keeps getting louder, who will break it first? Stay with me because the next royal move might not come with words, but it will definitely speak volumes.